Good evening, everyone. It is 8 p.m. UK time. So, as you know, it is definitely time to start our webinar tonight. And again, we have a very special guest. This is Juliana Bacino. Hello, Juliana. How are you feeling tonight?
Hello, Caroline. Thank you very much for this kind invitation.
We are definitely happy to have you here with us as our expert. And let me just, before we start, let me just tell you that, of course, all those stronger events have been brought to you because we definitely want to support you through those difficult times. And we want to give you an opportunity to meet top fertility experts, but also psychologists, coaches, as you know. And we are here every single day to also answer some of your questions. And tonight we definitely have a topic that is interesting, also difficult, and Juliana will be explaining, and of course she will be happy to answer all of your questions. So we will start with her presentation, and afterwards it will be of course time for your questions. And of course, remember that all those Stronger Together events have been brought to you also thanks to our ambassadors and partners. There is a bunch of people behind it as well. So, huge thanks to every single person for joining our initiative, for supporting this whole initiative. We definitely are happy to be able to cooperate with every and single ambassador and partner as well. And well, now, as you can see, of course, we will go for our topic tonight, which is donor X for everyone, psychological criteria for recipients. And before we start, I just want you to know that Juliana is a psychologist and PhD in health sciences. She's a leading expert in health and fertility, and she's been in this field for more than 15 years. So she has um, huge experience in this, of course, and I am very, very happy to have you with us tonight as our presenter. And thank you so much for also bringing this topic. This is something that many of you have been asking yourself, I am sure, and I am very happy that we are able to answer some of your questions, coming questions as well. All right, Juliana. So, are you ready to begin?
I'm ready. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you,
Perfect.
Caroline. Thank you, Stronger Together and IVF Media, again for this invitation. I'm very happy to participate in this initiative and welcome all the assistants to this webinar. Today, we will try to explore if donor egg treatments fits for every woman or not. We are used to see different types of family in our day-to-day life, some of them created through egg donation treatments. But as psychologists, as care providers in ART, do we have something to say or not? Are donor eggs for everyone? Well, this is a question we almost always ask to ourselves. And well, we can say yes. If we say yes, we will having very good intention. All women fit. We're now today we're talking only about women. But if we say always yes, maybe we have bad results for women and for children. But we can also say no. When we say no, patients may ask, how much do you know and how much do you just suspect? And we are seen as gatekeepers. So, to what should we look at the moment in which we recommend or not to a couple or to a woman to go on with her egg donation treatment or just give her our feedback? We can see, we can talk about illnesses, mental and physical illnesses, but we do not have scientific evidence that tell us that this kind of illnesses can harm or not the relationship or the woman or the child. We don't have scientific evidence also regarding socioeconomical status. We don't have scientific evidence on the motivation for being a mother, but we do have evidence, clinical evidence, as psychologists and counselors in our day-to-day practice. And we will talk about this. We will also talk about the age. And in this regard, yes, we have scientific evidence that tell us when it will be better to have kids and when it will be maybe some issues. Regarding the age, we know that in some countries there are no limits on the age that a woman can have to undergo to an egg donation treatment. So let's start for the motivation of being a mother. In the first consultation with a woman, we want almost always to do these questions to them. Why do you want to become a mother? Hmm? This is a simple question, but not always. Our patient did it for her a month ago, a week before, whatever. Sometimes it's the first time she hears this question. And the answers that we have or we may have are, for example, this. Because every woman has to be a mother? Because I always wanted to share my genes with my child? Because my partner wants to have children? Or we also have this kind of answers. Because I want to be a mother no matter what? Because I always wanted to have someone to love unconditionally? Or because motherhood is more than genes? Then, in our consultation, we almost always proceed to a second question. Why do you want to become a mother through an egg donation treatment? And these are the possible answers we have. Because my doctor says that in spite I cannot share my genes with my baby, I will love him anyway. My doctor says. Because I don't want to lose my relationship with my partner. Because I promised my parents that they will have a grandson. Or we can have this other kind of answers. Because I always wanted to share my love with the baby, raise him, teach him, guide him. Because I don't mind if my baby shares my genes or not. Because having a child is our family project, in spite the way this child will come to our lives. So as you can see, there are different types of questions, of answers. And do you think that these previous scenarios or answer are the same while we are talking about a future mother-child relationship? Do you think that it will be the same for this future mother-child relationship if this mother went through the treatment because only because her doctor says so, and in spite she wanted to share yes or yes her genes with the baby? Now we will talk about the age. The second thing that maybe we should look at when we try to recommend one thing or the other, or at least try to recommend to think more about it. But to what should we look at when we speak about age? Well, we can look at risks and benefits for the woman and risks and benefits for the future child. Let's start with risks for the woman. There are medical risks related to older age, for example, low birth weight and premature birth. There is significant increase when maternal age is over 40. And when maternal age is over or equal 43, we can have preeclampsia, intrauterine growth, retardation, stillbirth, and placent abruption. And we can also have gestational diabetes, preeclampsia, premature rupture of the membrane, cesarean, postpartum hemorrhage. All these risks are needed to tell to our patients in order to decide. But there are also benefits for the woman in an older age to have children. Medical benefits are, for example, non transmission of their genetic illnesses. Endometrial preparation is easier than ovarian stimulation, of course. And there are psychosocial benefits, greater financial and economic security in older ages, and more nurturing child rearing. Well, there are also risks, as we saw, for the future child. Let's start with the medical risks. Preterm birth, birth weight, transfer to the neonatal ICU, neonatal death, 5 minutes APGAR score less or equal to 7, intrauterine growth restrictions. And here I bring you an information that it got my attention. Daughters born to mothers aged between 40 and 49 years old lived almost 9 years less than daughters born to mothers aged to 20, from 20 to 29. And sons born to older mother lives almost 6 years less than sons born to younger mothers. Here you can see the child's expected age at time of mother's death. And if you see when the mother age is, let me see if here I can point it, is 35 years old, for example, at the child's birth, and she's expected to live 81 years, she will share with his son 46 years of her life. And the mother's probability, for example, of death by the child at age 5 is 0.54. But when we look at the 55 years old at the mother's age at child's birth, we can see that she will share approximately only 28 years of his child's life. And the probability of death by the child at age 5 is 2.73. So, this information has to be taken into account when we make the decision of continuing, even if I am 50, 51, or 52 years old, to do a treatment and to have a baby at this age. All the decisions are yours, are the patient's decisions, but you have to be informed, not only because of you, but also because of your offspring, your child. So let's continue with risks for the future child. And now we will explore the psychosocial risks. Well, children report feelings of embarrassment and experience teasing regarding their parents' age, increased difficulty relating to parents who are so much older. They report an engagement in less activity play with their parents because of the older age of the parents. They are tired, they don't want to play physical, feel that they grow up earlier than their peers, for example. They also have a constant fear of the risk of parental death. And when this loss is in childhood, the child is at risk for emotional and behavioral problems as psychiatric disorders, including anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, alcoholism, etc. They reported also low self-esteem, and they are put in a caregiver role to take care of their parents, to help them more, and this put children at risk for depression, anxiety, and behavioral problems too. You have to know that caregivers also have less time for schoolwork, extracurricular activities, and friends. But there are also benefits for the future child. For example, lower risk of exposure to physical punishment and abuse, and financial and economic security. We also need to take into account that research has demonstrated that once they are actually parenting, older parents begin to acknowledge that they are worried about how their age and death may impact in their child. When the child is an illusion, a fantasy, we don't think of these things. But when the child is a reality and we have him or her and we are more than 45 or more than 50 years old, things may change. Our idea may change. So, again, with this data about age, do you think that a woman at any age is suitable for an egg donation treatment? What do you think as patients? What is your opinion? If we say yes, are we thinking on the future child? So before starting with questions, I would like you to have this take-home message. If you have doubts regarding being a mother through an egg donation treatment, before making the decision, you should consult with a psychologist or a counselor about your fears, about your doubts, and maybe they will change, and you can go on with the security that of having a good decision, well informed. The second message is don't rush, but take into account your age. Hmm? And the third one, make your own decisions, although no everyone likes them. So with this information, if the question is, are donor eggs for everyone? Well, my recommendation is not. They are not for everyone. Thank you very much.
And thank you so much for your presentation, sorry, and of course for answering that question that will definitely comes up lots and lots of time to anyone that is struggling and doesn't really know what to do next. And so, yes, Juliana, thank you once more, and see this time for our questions. So just let me remind everyone, if you have any questions that are bothering you, or you just simply would like to know the answer to, go ahead and type those in so that Juliana can help you out. And we do have a very first question, and let's have a look at that right here. I have no menstruation since September and I'm afraid to be in premenopause. My AMH is 0.28. Is it still possible to stimulate my menstruation and use my own eggs? Or do you suggest better egg donation for age of 47? Thank you for the very first question.
Thank you, Tani, for your question. I'm not a medical doctor, so I would prefer for a colleague, a medical doctor, to answer your question. But what I have to say is that, well, with 47 years old, it's very, very difficult to have a child with your own eggs. It's really difficult, but you should consult a medical doctor, and he or she will indicate you better. You have this information that I gave you in the webinar. You can read it again, but I suggest you not to wait too long to consult.
And of course, thank you so much for your advice on that. And I just wanted you to see that, of course, Tani has added yes in answering your question. So yes, I want to be a mother. So thank you for that. And remember that all the medical questions we are always able to forward to Juliana, and she will be able to check with her team as well, I'm sure. Right? Perfect. Thank you. And there is a thank you from Tani for you right here.
Thank you. Thank you.
And let's have a look. Another question is in. These are lovely questions to ponder, journal on. I am so happy to see these as I have not yet allowed myself to consider donor eggs. I first want to at least try with own eggs at 42 and a half. Thank you for these ideas too. Oh, anything you can add? It's not a question, sorry, but anything you can add.
No, no. Thank you for your comment because sometimes we don't have questions when we see a presentation, but this kind of presentations make, as you said, make you think or make us think on other things or on other topics related to motherhood that sometimes we'll never thought. Yeah.
That is true, of course. This is something that make you realize that maybe there is something else out there as well. And if I just may ask like additional question, so it's in regards to the, let's say that someone is still struggling to make that decision when it comes to egg donation, even though they know it's like your best chance. What would you advise? Where to start? How to, let's say, get convinced that okay, let's go ahead with it.
Mhm. Well, first of all, you don't have to be convinced by anyone. You have to put in a balance of your life, of your couple, or if you want to be a single mother or a single father, if this fits in your life or not, this kind of treatment. But before making the decision, you should see a specialist, a mental health professional specialized in this case in fertility, and also a medical doctor. So you have the full view of your situation and where you are to make the decision. My suggestion is not making any decision without a previous consultation with a psychologist and a medical doctor.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for answering that. So it's like I'll do a thorough research, find out as much as you can, and then decide what to do. Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for that. And let's have a look. Okay. Next question. If you can have a look at this, what is the maximum age to undergo IVF with Honorex? Anything you can advise on that?
With donor eggs, it depends on the country. For example, in Spain, there is a consensus that we do not do a treatment to a woman that is over 49 years old. We don't start a treatment. Some clinics don't start the treatment when the woman is 48. Others start it when the woman is 49, 50 maximum, but not more. Other countries are 42 years old, and others, like USA, are like United States, are more than 53 years old. So it depends.
hmm And wonderful. Thank you so much for the clarification to that one, of course, as well. There is a thank you for from Mariana as well. And if you can answer this, I mean, remember that, of course, Juliana is in Spain, right? But could a donor be a known person?
Not in Spain, but yes, in other countries. The European government is trying to, the European Parliament, I'm sorry, is trying to unify all the legislations regarding donation. But until today, it depends on the country. In Spain, you can know have the identity of the donor. In other countries, yes, you can.
Perfect. Thank you so much for yet another question and for the clarification. And this is also another question that comes up quite often, whether to choose anonymous donor or known donor. And again, this is a whole different research that has to be done as well. Thank you so much for this. And let's have a look. Okay. Next question is from Noreen. I've read and heard of successful stories of women who are 50 and they've managed to get pregnant and they've done IVF using their own eggs. What are the chances? What chances does a woman who wants to try at 48?
Well, Noreen, again, I would prefer that a medical doctor answers these questions because it's not exactly my field as I am a psychologist. But it's very, very difficult to see a woman of 50 years old having a child with her own eggs, unless she has been having child for the last 15 years. Sometimes we hear stories about our um, grandmothers that had their last baby at 49 or 50 years old. Yes, because but they have been having one after another, and this is different than having the first child at 50 years old. I think it's very, very difficult, almost impossible, but I don't know. The chances that a woman who wants to try at 48 is almost the same as 50. They're very, very low chances. But I prefer that a medical doctor can explain it to you in
That's
depth.
totally, of course, understandable. Thank you so much for that and explaining as well on this. There is a thank you from Noreen for you as
Well,
well.
I have to add, sorry, Caroline, that sometimes we hear that women remain pregnant with 50 years old, and they are not telling us that they used a donor egg treatment, because not every woman is telling everyone that they are undergoing an egg donation treatment. They always say, I got pregnant, I am lucky, and that's it. But almost always uh, they were lucky because there was a donor behind, and they're not telling these things, and it's comprehensible, of course.
So thank you so much. And of course, that means just it's better to be also careful when you're reading some things like that as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Someone is typing, so we just need a minute to see another question. So let's give it a
yeah.
minute. Possibly more people are
We also
typing.
we also see in the magazines, in the television, women that or famous woman that tells us, yes, I got pregnant at 48, at 49, and we believe them, and they are pregnant. But what they're not saying is that there were not their eggs. Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for that. And the next question is also ready. So, does the psychology have a space in fertility institution? Is it compulsory to start a medical treatment and a psychological treatment at the same time?
Well, the psychologists do have space in fertility institutions if they work as a team with the fertility institutions. Um, as they respect doctors, and medical doctors respect them. But I don't know if it is compulsory to start a medical treatment and the psychological treatment at the same time. I don't really know if that should be so strict. There has to be a recommendation of the psychological unit or the psychological department for you to attend as a patient if you want, if you feel it, and that the medical doctors can encourage patients to evacuate their doubts, their fears with the psychologist. But as much as compulsory, I don't know. I don't know, because it may uh, harm the psychologist patient relationship.
And again, thank you so much for that. And actually, next question is quite similar, so I will show you. So, do you know if a psychological session is always mandatory before people undergo IVF with donor gametes in the UK?
Hmm. Yeah, in some countries, yes, it is mandatory before people undergo an egg donation treatment. Yes, in some countries, no. In Spain, for example, it's not mandatory. It's recommended, but it's not mandatory. Again, I think Mariana does that. Put it mandatory. I don't know if it will really work, because once we are when something is mandatory, we go to the session and we may say whatever the psychologists want to hear, because we don't want to be there. So I can tell you whatever you want to hear. So you sign the paper and I go out. Maybe it's better if it is your choice, and only your choice to come with me and talk about the situation.
Thank you so much once again. This is definitely interesting what you have said, that maybe if it were mandatory, it wouldn't work like it should. So thank you so much. That's definitely good to remember that as well. All right, next question. Yeah, and there is a comment. I understand. Thank you. And next question, sorry, is right here. Okay. I'm actually struggling with the idea of a donor egg because I'm not sure if I'll be able to accept the baby as my own. Are there cases where women getting pregnant with donor egg regret their decision?
Mhm. Yes, there are. And there are because they do not give themselves enough time to process the idea of making the the morning of not transmit of not having a child with with their genes. So this is not a decision that you can take the one day to the other. This is a process. And when you do not do this process, yes, there are women that regret their decision, and sometimes they provoke a miscarriage. Yeah, to themselves. These are situations, difficult situations for professionals and for the patients, but sometimes are a consequence of hurrying, um, of rushing to have a they are they want to do it and then they will think about it, and this is the beginning of a project, having a baby, not the end of a project. So as the beginning of a project you have to think a little bit more and consult with specialists.
And wonderful. Thank you so much for your question, indeed, of course. And Juliana, thank you for explaining. And well, let's have a look at that. Yeah, there is a thank you, of course, from Noreen. Thank you. I'll do
You're welcome,
that.
Marine.
All right. Let's have a look at the next question, okay? So when patients have to sign the consent, I believe, I don't know the English for it, does a
Yeah, yeah.
psychologist explain the legal and psychological responsibilities, identity origins that involve?
Yes, of course. In Spain, the consent forms inform the patient, for example, the legal responsibilities that they have, of course, with the child, and they explain that the child will never know the identity of the donor and the recipients in neither. I think that in the rest of the countries they may do the same, but I really don't know because I don't know all the consent forms of every country. But yes, we always in fertility. In the fertility field, we always try to explain very, very well to patients what they may expect and what not.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for the clarification. Something again to remember for sure, very important. And let's have a look. Next question. Again, we have Angela have wrote, how do older parents raise issues with their children when any might arise regarding age? What type of steps and considerations that might be made to deal with the matter in a caring and sensitive way to make the child feel wanted? On another note, I don't care what friends or strangers think, but what is a polite way of telling them this?
Whoa, Angela, what a question. Well, there are several questions in the question, but um, the first thing that I think the child needs to know is that he or she was very, very wanted, very desired, and that you did all this and you travel all this far in your life to have him or her because you love him no matter what, no matter you are genetically related to them or not. We usually recommend to start telling the children when they are 3 until they are 8, not after, because in the adolescent it will be a little bit difficult to have for them the first notice that they are from an egg donation treatment. So we recommend to start when they are very little, with a little story, simple story, and then it will come more complex when they grow up. Uh, but this is not for a recommendation only for older parents. This is a recommendation also for young parents that can do an egg donation treatment or a semen donation treatment. So these are the steps. Very little, a story, a good story that he can or she can understand, and then you start to complex this story. And the first one to know has to be the child, not your parents or your neighbors or whatever. First the child, and then if you want, others. Hmm? Did I answer
Wonderful.
your question, Angela?
Sure. Let us know, Angela, because and thank you so much for well, definitely interesting question, and thank you, Juliana, for explaining and this as well. And let's have a look. Okay, next question is up in regards to Spain, I guess. Right? Is it not possible to know the donor identity after 18 years?
No, I mean in Spain, no. In other countries, yes.
Mhm. Of course. Thank you so much for the clarification. So, of course, UK, Portugal, this is possible,
Yeah.
but not in Spain. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And the next question again, quite interesting. So, are there any children's books that you use as a resource to help children understand?
Yes, Vanessa, there are a lot. I personally have a few that I can share them with you after, but there are a lot. The most important thing is that there are different books depending on the age, because it's not the same if you want to tell him or her at 3 or 4 years old, and if you want to tell him or her at 7 or 8. In my case, my books are three little books that go together, and to read them between 3 and 5, 6 and 8 years old, and 9 and 11, because it's not the same what we're telling them when once they are 5 and once they are 11.
And excellent. Thank you so much once again for that. And let's have a look. Okay, sorry, we'll go back to Angela's. She has added something for you. Okay. So, yes, you
Mhm.
have answered all the previous question except the polite way of what to say to others. Otherwise, parents fully supportive.
Yeah, well, you may say the truth to others, or you may leave it open. Yes, I have this my child through an IVF treatment. You don't. There's no need to tell others. I don't know what are others, but if others are your neighbors, or others are your, I know, your cousin, I don't know if there is a need to explain every single person what the treatment you did, because it's the same as you don't explain what you eat yesterday or whatever. Who needs to know is your child. And if you want to tell afterward, you tell the child the others. You can tell in this polite way. We have him or her with an IVF treatment with donor eggs. If you want to say the truth, to tell the truth. There's not polite or unpolite. You say it or you don't say it. But I don't think that people need to know everything about our lives. Our children needs to know it. I don't know the others. I'm not sure.
And perfect once more. Thank you so much for that. And sorry, there was again a follow up from previous patient, Vanessa, in regards to the books, how may I find the children's books that you have authored?
Well, I think, Caroline, you will send a link to my email. You
Yes.
can write me. Caroline will send it or put it in the chat, and you can
Yep.
email me, and I will send you the link because they are for free.
Wonderful, of course. That's good to hear then. And I will send you a link in a second. And there is an option to get in touch with Juliana. So, of course, if anyone would like to get some more details, etc., this is the way to do it. And I'm sure she'll be more than happy to help you out as well.
Of course.
And let's have a look at some of the questions that we have. Next one from Tani. Do you think that actually the child needs to know about the IVF?
Only an IVF or an egg donation treatment with IVF? Well, I'll answer both. Everyone needs to know about their origins. If it was through an adoption, through an IVF treatment, through an egg donation treatment, or a spontaneous conceived uh, child, because children ask. So it's better always to say the truth of how they are here and why. So yeah, I think they need to know everything.
Of course. Thank you so much for that. And actually, there is a follow up from Angela. Okay. So, friends, she means friends, relatives. I won't explain anything, but I want to tell them it's not their business other than it was IVF. How to do it in a polite way, then, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, you can tell them that it was an IVF treatment, that you were struggling to having him or her, and he's he came to your lives through an IVF treatment, and that's it. That could be a polite way.
All right. Of course. Thank you so much. I hope that helps, of course, as well. Okay, for now, at least it looks like that might be our final question for tonight. But of course, if you have any left, you know what to do. Just type those in. And of course, there's a thanks from Angela for you. And let's have a look at the question. So, it is recommended to raise children from donor eggs, teaching them about the culture of the donor so that they keep something from their origin.
Well, if you know about the culture of the donor, you may, yes, but you don't always know. Um, we have to take into account that we do not mix ethnicities. So we don't give an egg donor, an Asian egg donors to a Caucasian recipient, or an Afro-descendant donor to an Asian patient. So the ethnicity or the culture that rounds ethnicity, sometimes it will be the same as yours because it's not legal to mix. Um, Nothing, I think nothing has to be forced. You can raise him, you have to raise him with love, with patience, with all the good that you have, in spite the culture or in spite anything.
And once more, thank you so much for yet another question and, of course, for answering this. And as I mentioned, it looks like that was our final question. So I would already like to thank everyone for joining us tonight, as always, and of course for your questions. Definitely interesting one. So it's been a really great session, and it's really good to have you, Juliana, with us tonight. And before we finish, is there anything else you would like to add?
No, I would like to thank you again, your team and the assistants, and I'm glad you like it.
I'm very happy to definitely have you here with us. And as you can see, there are plenty of comments coming up as well. So, love representation, and thank you very much for this. And thank you once again. So, that means it has been useful, and that's what we are here. So thank you so much for joining. And as I mentioned, if you would like to get in touch with Juliana, there's a link, and of course when we finish, you will be redirected to the website as well, so you can just go ahead and send her some questions if you have any left. And remember, it has been recorded, so you will have a chance to watch this again. It will be uploaded tomorrow on our website, myivfinstance.com, and also on our YouTube channel. And if you go to Facebook and Instagram, you will see that there are more of those events coming up, as you know. And tomorrow we have another special guest from Greece. This time, as it is a Friday, so we will have a Greek representative, I would say, as well. And everyone, thank you so much, and have a lovely evening or day wherever you are. And Juliana, it's been a great pleasure to meet you, and it was a great pleasure to have you here with us. Thank you so much for joining. Have a
The
lovely
pleasure
evening
is
as well.
mine. You
Thank you.
too.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.